Okay, so today we're going to be looking into the principle of using parallel compression and parallel distortion in order to incorporate more punch, more character and more energy into your drums. So the way this works is parallel compression, what you've got to do, or parallel distortion, you take the dry signal and rather than inserting it as an insert onto your whatever channel you want to insert it onto and affecting all of the overall signal coming in, you use it as a send. You take that signal and send it to a bus. So as you can see here, I've got a parallel compression and a parallel fattener bus set up, and each of these drums are set to these at whatever levels I saw fit. And the way that works is when you blend a dry signal with this affected signal, you don't lose any of your transients, you don't lose any of the original qualities of the sound that you wanted to keep, and you can instead take the artifacts that the saturation and the compression will introduce, blend them together, and what you get is a nice sonic output effectively. So the compression, when used in series, would cause you to lose your transients and energy, whereas in parallel you can retain the characteristics that you want to retain. So here we've got an audio example of what it sounds like. This is a track I've been working on a lot lately, and because my CPU isn't quite up to scratch, I can't really show you what it sounds like all the way through, but I can show you what the drums will sound like when they're finished. So I've probably gone a bit over the top there with the saturation, but we'll turn that down later on. So to begin with, what we've got for parallel compression, so as you saw, the kick, clap, hats and the crash are all sent to this bus here at around 50%, and on this bus we've got the wave CLA2A. Now I must stress, for parallel compression, from my own experience, I've found that compressors which emulate analog compressors work best, because these tend to be of they're not truly accurate. They tend to incorporate sonic qualities to the sound and maybe like distortion characteristics, which can sound quite nice. So ones I'd recommend for this would be the CLA76, which is an emulation of the Yuri 1176, the soft tube FET compressor, the Wave CLA2A, as you can see here obviously, the FabFilter Pro C on the punch, vocal or opto mode, or if you're using Logic 10's built-in compressor has nice emulations of optical and FET topologies, which you can use as you see fit. So if I play this back, you can hear it won't do anything, and we'll dial this in so we're getting around about 10 dB of gain reduction. We'll turn the analog noise off as well because we don't want that present in the mix. So as you can see there, that's working. I'll just take the distortion out so you can hear it without the parallel compression, and there with the parallel compression it's just got another aspect to it. It's just that bit more punchy, that bit more energetic. So after that we can move on to parallel distortion or parallel saturation, however you want to look at it. So for this you can use sausage fattener. I find settings where you turn up the colour and the fatness controls on it can sound quite nice, but obviously you've got to blend it in really carefully. Too loud, it's going to destroy your drums. Too quiet, it's not going to do anything. So for this I've got FabFilter Saturn. We're just on the default setting, so if I just literally recall this default, and you can use any of these algorithms. I'd recommend the tapes or the tubes because they're not going to cause too much problems, but we'll have a look. So if I play this back and mix this in, I'll change the drive control so you can hear what it's doing. You probably hear that's a little bit much, so it's up to you what you want to do. You can use the tube, and that adds a nice characteristic to it. Blends back in with the compression, and this is what the end result's going to sound like. Excuse a buffer on drums, but you can hear the drums are nice and punchy. they're going to cut through a mix nicely. They've got plenty of energy, and they're nice in there. If you're wanting to use any other saturators, I can recommend Soundtoys Decapitator. It's a wonderful saturation plugin and distortion, and it can sound great on drums, but be careful because it can go too far. And I can also recommend the Soft Tube Saturation knob, and also, as I mentioned earlier, Sausage Fattener. The last two that I mentioned are quite nice because there's very limited controls on there, especially the saturation knob. It is just one control, and then whether you want to focus on your higher frequencies or your lower frequencies, or just like a neutral balanced saturation, and they can all sound quite sonically pleasant. One thing I will mention though is you have to be careful of delay compensation when you parallel distorting your drums, because using the distortion can send them a little bit out of phase because of this delay. So be careful and make sure you've got automatic plug-in delay compensation enabled in your DAW. Outside of that, experiment, find a tone that suits your sound, that suits your style, and go ahead and make those nice punchy banging drums. I hope you've all enjoyed this. I hope it's been helpful for you all. Thank you all very much, and see you all later on.